A hero betrayed, reborn as the world's greatest nightmare.
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Naruto Took Revenge on Leaf Village for Uzumaki clan movie. Before we start, please go support Gabriel Casas 545 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken characters' gender, but of course Naruto is a male. On October 10th in the Leaf Village, one of the 5 ninja powers in the shinobi world, the second Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi Uzumaki Kushina, gave birth to her first child. That same day, thanks to a masked man with Sharigan, made the seal of the Uzumaki was broken and released the Kyuubi controlling it, attacking Konoha. That same day was created the third Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi known as Uzumaki Naruto, who will make the world feel the pain he had to suffer and the pain that the Uzumaki clan felt when the great ninja villages attacked the country of the whirlpools. Chapter 1. The Birth of the Child of Prophecy. On October 10th in the Leaf Village, one of the 5 ninja powers in the shinobi world, the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi Uzumaki Kushina, known as the Bloody Habanera, was giving birth to her first child. She said she was with Namikaze Minato, her partner, and the current Hokage of the Leaf, along with both were the doctors who supported her in childbirth, as well as the wife of the Sandaime Hokage Bawako Saratobi. Happiness Minato, congratulations Kushina, the baby was born healthy, and it's a boy, said the wife of the Sandaime Hokage, giving little Naruto to Minato. She was happy that the child was born healthy and no problem occurred with the Kyuubi seal. Minato looked at Naruto with a big smile, since his son looked a lot like him and his mother. The Yondaime was happy to have his first child and hoped to build an even larger family. After seeing him for a few moments, Minato approaches his wife happy so she can also see little Naruto. Thank you Kushina for making me a father, look at our baby, Minato said with a couple of tears of happiness, since as an orphan, he also longed for a family and was happy to build it with Kushina Uzumaki, the woman he loves. I love my little baby, I want to spoil him already, said the Uzumaki with a slightly tired smile when she saw her little firstborn. Meanwhile, outside the place where the Uzumaki Namikaze couple was, a masked man was getting rid of the Anbu guarding the place. The masked man killed them with such ease that he made those Anbu look like ants, so, after finishing with the Anbu, the masked man was heading towards Minato, Kushina, and little Naruto. But the Namikaze Uzumaki family, the Yondaime was leaving little Naruto in the basket so he could see the Kyuubi's seal and reinforce it. After all, Kushina was now weak and knew that at any moment the Kyuubi could escape. Little Naruto, feeling the evil chakra of the masked man, began to cry, which caught Minato's attention, and when he turned around he saw the dead doctors and the masked man with his son. Nice to meet you Yondaime Hokage, congratulations on becoming a father, said the masked man in a mocking tone. Who the hell are you? And release my son, Minato said, his eyes shining with murderous intent. He didn't understand how this ninja had snuck into this place when very few people knew where Kushina would give birth. I'll give you the child, but give me the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, said the masked man laughing sinisterly. He wanted to see what the Yondaime would decide. His son or his wife. I'll never give you Kushina, now give me my son, Minato growled. The Yondaime had never hated someone so much, and he didn't understand how this masked man found them. After all, very few people knew about this place, unless someone leaked the location, he would find out. Be careful what you wish for Yondaime Hokage, the masked man said in a sinister voice. The masked man throws little Naruto into the air, so Minato jumps to catch him, but on the blanket that the baby had there were several explosive scrolls. Minato, realizing what was happening, used the Hiraishin to teleport away from the cave and throws the blanket away and teleports to his house. Minato leaves Naruto in bed and puts on the cloak of the 4th Hokage in search of Kushina. The Yondaime would now go to the battlefield. But when the Yondaime teleported he saw something that made him more serious, since he could see the 9-tailed fox. The strongest Bijuu realized that the masked man was the one who had released the Kyuubi and began to control him with the Sharingan so that he would attack Konoha. When Minato appeared next to her husband, he began to worry since he saw her in very bad condition after the release of the 9-tailed Bijuu. How are you feeling Kushina? Asked Minato, very worried. He knew what happens when the Bijuu is removed from its host and he didn't want his wife to die. He would do everything possible for his wife to live. Minato, forgive me, I was weak, the damned one released the Kyuubi, said Kushina between gasps. She was very weak from the part and the release of 9 tails. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Now I'll take you to where Naruto is, Minato said seriously. Now it's time for him to take care of the Kyuubi and the masked man. Minato carries Kushina and teleports to the house where he leaves Kushina with her baby, while the 9-tails Bijuu continues to attack the village of Konoha. The Sandaime Hiruzen Saratobi, using his summon Enma the Monkey King, is trying to keep the Kyuubi away from the village so that it will not cause more destruction and kill civilians. The Sandaime, along with a large number of ninjas, could barely momentarily contain the Kyuubi. The Kyuubi, getting increasingly angry at the attacks of the Sandaime and the rest of the ninjas, throws a tailed beast bomb towards the heads of the Hokages, but Minato arrived just in time and using his space-time jutsu, was able to send the Bijuu lady away from the village, then teleports the tailed beast away from the village so that it does not cause more destruction. But suddenly the masked man appeared behind Minato trying to grab him, but the Yondaime notices and stops the masked man, but the masked man using his space-time ability, tried to teleport the Yondaime to another part of the Konoha village, but Minato seeing what his attacker wanted to do teleports away. The Yondaime looked at his opponent seriously, he wanted to know as much as possible and warn the third. He did not know if he could contain this very problematic opponent, after all this opponent had a Sharingan, and from what he saw he is a skilled user, after all he can control the Kyuubi as Uchiha Madara once did. The Yondaime, when thinking about the name of the strongest Uchiha, thought of the masked man in front of him, but then shook his head, since Madara is supposed to be dead. But he still had that doubt, he was very undecided about the opponent in front of him. "Are you Uchiha Madara?" Minato asked cautiously, he wasn't sure if his guess would be correct, besides, Uchiha Madara is supposed to be dead, and even if he isn't, he should be too old to wield his full power, but the opponent in front of him is very strong, he broke the barrier, killed the third Hokage's elite Anbu, and has a space-time ninjutsu that even surpasses the Flying Thunder God. To top it off, he broke the Kyuubi's seal and overpowered it to attack the village. "Who knows?" said the masked man sinisterly. "Under these circumstances, it doesn't matter who you are. But why attack the village?" Minato asked seriously. He didn't understand what his opponent was trying to do by trying to destroy Konoha with the power of the Kyuubi. "Let's say it's on a whim, it's planned, it's for war and also for peace," said the masked man taking out his chains to prepare for combat with the Yondaime. He said enough, it's time to end his battle with the yellow flash. Whatever the reason, this opponent is no ordinary person, his ability to control the Kyuubi, his teleportation technique that surpasses both my own, and his evil mentality. If I didn't finish him off right now, he would be an even greater threat than the Kyuubi itself. If I teleport to the village, he would follow me, and the battle would turn into greater chaos. Like Madara, the time he can have the Kyuubi summoned is not very long. I have no choice but to believe that the third one will be able to contain the Kyuubi while I take care of this opponent, Minato thought seriously, he would have to finish off his opponent quickly, otherwise the village would be in great danger. "Since I have released the Kyuubi there is no hope for you," said the masked man with a sinister voice. He doubted very much that the third Hokage could contain the Kyuubi. The masked man and Minato looked at each other for a few seconds and then launched themselves at each other. The Yondaime tried to cut the masked man with his special kunai, but he could only pierce through the masked man. Seeing his opportunity, he tried to grab him with his chains, but the Yondaime, with amazing speed, managed to escape easily. His body doesn't receive any physical attacks and materializes when attacking. This means he could only wait for the right moment to provoke a simultaneous attack. But for him, the timing of the attack is a risk. Besides, considering the Kyuubi's summoning time, he wouldn't want this fight to drag on that long. This will be decided by which of the two attacks is faster, Minato thought analytically. Minato ran towards the masked man and then threw the Flying Thunder God's kunai towards his opponent, this kunai managing to pierce the masked man. Both opponents were getting closer, the masked man was a few inches from Minato's throat, the Yondaime was forming a Rasengan to finish off his opponent, and when the masked man was about to touch the Yondaime Hokage, he teleported towards the masked man along with his Rasengan, which he hit the masked man with, seriously damaging him. The masked man barely recovered but lost one of his arms to the Yondaime, taking advantage of the opportunity, he teleported towards the masked man and broke the contract seal that the masked man has with the Kyuubi, thus freeing the Bijuu from control. "I see you put one of your marks of the God of Thunder on me, your intention is to separate me from the Kyuubi," roared the masked man, he didn't expect the Yondaime to give him so much trouble. "But this the Kyuubi will no longer belong to you, Madara," Minato said seriously. The masked man frowns beneath his mask and jumps towards a tree. He knew he could no longer defeat the Yondaime Hokage. It would be very dangerous to stay and fight to the death with the fastest man in the world, so he had to retreat. "I give you my praise, fourth Hokage, you managed to hurt me and separate me from the Kyuubi. No matter what, he will be mine eventually. I will rule the world. There are many ways to achieve it," said the masked man sinisterly while teleporting in a whirlpool with his space-time ability. "This guy is very dangerous, his ability is very problematic, and judging by the tone he used he wasn't joking," Minato thought, sighing. Now he had to deal with the Kyuubi and seal it before it causes more destruction to the village. Meanwhile, the Kyuubi continued to cause chaos in the Leaf Village, causing countless casualties, and although the third Hokage is a shadow class ninja, he barely managed to cause any problems for the Kyuubi. The Bijuu, seeing the ants bothering him, prepares to throw a tailed beast bomb, but just as he was going to throw it at a large toad, he crushed it, stopping its attack. Keep the Kyuubi busy just for a moment, I know how to contain it, I just need time, Minato said to the Sandaime and the rest of the shinobi. This will be difficult even for me, Minato thought, and then he teleported with the Kyuubi to another field. Right in that field was Kushina, who with her diamond chains was able to contain the Kyuubi. I will take the Kyuubi with me to death. Thank you for everything you did for me. Minato, don't look at me like that. I imagine myself alive and with a future together, the three of us living as a family. Kushina said panting. She had just given birth and they had just removed the tailed beast. Her tiredness is extreme, but for Minato and Naruto she would give everything, even her life. Kushina, there's no need for you to die with the Kyuubi. Save the little chakra you have left for a meeting with Naruto, Minato said alarmed and with tears in his eyes, never thought this would happen. But the people who use that just to said Kushina opening her eyes in shock and disbelief, she didn't think her husband would use that sealing jutsu. I will only seal half of the Kyuubi in Naruto. Sealing such great power is physically impossible. The death demon consuming seal will seal half of the Kyuubi with me forever. Minato cut off Uraya's words, he knew that in the future the shinobi world would be in great danger. And that the savior who would appear at that time would be known as the child of the prophecy. The masked man who attacked today is going to be the one who caused the disaster. I don't know why, but I am convinced that this will be the case, Minato said seriously, but looking at his wife with loving eyes, he knew that after doing this Naruto would have a somewhat complicated life, but he knew that the Sandaime would protect him. But Minato said Kushina she did not want her son to be a Jinchuriki, nor for Minato to die, both things would only cause pain to her precious son. Death demon consuming seal, Shikifujin, said Minato, so that behind it a terrifying demonic being is formed which is the Shinigami, god of death. When I finish with the death demon consuming seal, Shikifujin, I will seal your chakra inside Naruto, Minato said seriously. He's our son. That's why I don't want him to go through anything so difficult. If I can meet Naruto when he grows up, even if it's for a short time. You don't have to die. Why do you have to sacrifice yourself for me? Kushina said, panting. Her chakra was almost gone, and the stress of everything that had happened was weakening her mentally. Giving my life for my family and the village is what a Hokage must do. Our family is shinobi, Kushina. That is the role of a mother. I will happily die for my son. It is my duty as a father, Minato said with a smile. The Shinigami behind Minato took half of the Kyuubi and sealed it into the Yondaime. Damned, roared the Kyuubi when he realized what the Yondaime wanted to do. He would not be sealed again. He wanted his freedom no matter what the cost. Meanwhile outside the Sandaime and his Anbus were trying to enter where the Yondaime's battlefield is, but they couldn't because of the strong barrier that the Yondaime put up, which made them anxious. They only hoped that the Yondaime was safe and sound, after all, he is their cage. Okay, next he is the 8 trigram seal, said Minato sighing, he hoped that everything goes well in the future, and Naruto has the means to stop the masked man. I knew he'd try to seal me again. Besides, inside that baby, Kyuubi thought darkly, he didn't want to be sealed again. But suddenly Kushina fell to the floor and vomited a little blood. She was very tired of everything that happened, despite being in Uzumaki she still had limits, and she had already surpassed hers. Kushina, are you okay? Minato asked worriedly. His wife was overdoing it. He knew that his wife had already surpassed her limits in trying to stop the Kyuubi. The Kyuubi seeing his opportunity when he felt the chains looser with his face, tried to kill little Naruto, but suddenly both Minato and Kushina appeared protecting Naruto from the Kyuubi's attack, and both were pierced by the Kyuubi's claw. I'll protect Naruto from everything. After all, I'm his mother. This is the first time I've lost an argument with you, Minato, Kushina said with a smile. Thank you Kushina, said Minato with a smile, and then with a little blood coming out of his mouth, he summoned Jiratora. Jiratora, I'll give you the seal key. Take it to Jiraiya-sensei and keep it, Minato said seriously, after all, the seal key being with the toads, would be the safest place where the masked man would hardly be able to enter. You have my word, Minato. I'll keep the key. I'm leaving now, Jiratora said sadly, seeing the state his summoner was in. It'll be a while before we can see each other. Let's tell you how much we love you, Minato said with a smile, although his eyes held sadness at leaving his son. Naruto, don't be a picky eater, eat, grow a lot, and be a good boy. Bathe every day, go to bed early, and sleep well. Make friends, no matter how many. Just make sure they're true friends that you trust, it doesn't matter if there are just a few studying ninjutsu well. I was never good at it, maybe you are. Everyone is very good and very bad at some things. Don't feel bad if there's something you can't do. Make sure you listen to your teachers at the academy, avoid the 3 vices of shinobi, don't borrow money, save what you earn on missions, don't drink sake until you're 20, or you'll ruin your body. And as for women, well, I'm a woman so I know what to say. This is a man's world and one day you're going to have a girlfriend. Make sure you don't choose a freak, find someone like your mother, and from Minato, be careful of Jiraiya-sensei, Naruto, you're going to experience a lot of pain and suffering. Remember who you are. Find a goal, a dream, and never give up until you make it a reality. There are so many things I'd like to tell you and teach you. I want to be with you, my son. I love you. Kushina said with tears in her eyes for not being able to see her son grow up. She longed to see him grow. Naruto. My message for you is. Well, I guess your chatty mother said it all. See late trigrams, Minato said, then sealed the Kyuubi into Naruto. Little Naruto cried bitterly seeing his father die and his mother barely conscious. The newborn was born and his parents were no longer there. He didn't understand why this was happening, but one thing he was sure of was that he wanted that masked man to pay for everything he had caused. When the Sandaime entered the barrier he found a weak and almost dying Kushina, along with little Naruto. Third Hokage said Kushina weakly she no longer had any strength, but she wanted to make sure her baby was safe and sound. Kushina said the Sandaime a little worried with little Naruto in his arms. The Sandaime was looking with concern at the Uzumaki after all she is the wife of the Yondaime and one of the strongest ninjas in Konoha. Take care of this child, please take care of my son, Kushina said weakly, she no longer had any strength and knew that now she would go to the Pure Land with her clan. Yes, don't worry about anything, the Sandaime replied seriously. His name is Naruto. Minato and I took our name from a novel by Jiraiya-sensei, said Kushina with her last strength before passing away. I promise you Kushina I will protect Naruto, said the Sandaime looking seriously at the Uzumaki at least it would give the woman peace that he would promise to protect her son. The Yondaime and his wife are dead, collect their bodies, we must give them a proper burial, said sadly the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, since Minato was a ninja of enormous power even feared in the 5 nations the same happened with Kushina, she was the strongest woman of the elemental nations rivaling if not surpassing Tsunade's Senju. Lord Sandaime, what are we going to do with the Jinchuriki? Asked one of the Anbus, after all the boy is the son of the Yondaime, but he is also the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, the strongest Bijuu, the Anbu knew that Jinchurikas are weapons of war, but he was not sure what to do, after all the boy is the son of the Yondaime. I will fulfill what was promised, the child will be protected, said the Sandaime seriously, after all he had to take care of the Jinchuriki from the Kyuubi, so that he would be loyal to the village of Konoha. He did not want the child to go out of control and release the Kyuubi, that would be disastrous for Konoha, especially since there is no longer an Uzumaki Kushina or an Amicus Minato, and he knew that with his power, he could barely contain the Kyuubi for only a few moments. Little Naruto watched sadly as his mother no longer had any reaction, but he felt a bad feeling about how the Anbu and the Hokage were looking at him, as if he were a prize or a weapon, and he didn't like that, he had to be cautious with those people. End of chapter. Chapter 2. Broken Promise and Altered Destiny. 3 years have passed since the Kyuubi along with the masked man attacked the Leaf Village. Currently a blonde boy was heading to the Forest of Death at great speed, since he did not like to stay in the village, since he has been hated, mistreated by his own house, by his own village, all this orchestrated by the high command in Konoha to be the scapegoat of the village, since the young Uzumaki is the Jinchuriki of the 9-tailed fox. A being of pure hatred and resentment and of immense power so strong that he could even deal with the other 8 Bijuus and fight on equal footing if he wanted to, this is the life that he was given thanks to the Sandaime Hokage, who did not fulfill his duty to protect him properly. The Uzumaki did not know why the Sandaime did all this, but one thing is certain, that old man is no grandfather. The Uzumaki knew that he is the son of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, and that he is currently the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. He may be a small child, but he remembers everything that happened in the Kyuubi's attack. He was born aware of everything that happened and who killed his parents and attacked the village of Konoha. He did not completely hate the Kyuubi. He knew that what happened 4 years ago was not completely his fault, but that it was the fault of that masked man with a Sharingan. The Uzumaki wanted to see his parents again and finish off the masked man as soon as possible. All these are the thoughts of the young Uzumaki, someone who has a pure heart that was slowly filling with hatred towards Konoha and especially hatred towards 3 people. Danzo Shimura, Sarutobi Hiruzen and the masked man who killed his parents. The young Uzumaki was already planning countermeasures and leaving the Leaf Village. He may be young, but he has some skills that could make him escape from Konoha without problems. I don't understand why these stupid villagers behave like this with me, I know that the Kyuubi destroyed some of their families, but I'm just a child, I don't deserve to receive their hatred, a hatred that no human being would endure without retribution. I'm not even 5 years old, and people treat me worse than the plague, they think I have the Kyuubi, no one deserves to be treated like this village is trash just like its people, the Uzumaki thought as he walked to the only place that is safe for him, the Forest of Death. Who would say that the most dangerous place in Konoha is the most comfortable and safe place for the young Uzumaki? I guess I have no place in this village, it's better to leave this place. I know I don't have enough power to defeat an elite jounin, but with my current skills I know I can handle genin or chunin, maybe even some jounin. Since I entered the Yondame's mansion and stole what belongs to me, I learned quite a few skills, but I know it won't be enough until I learn all the jutsus I found in the mansion, the little Uzumaki said to himself. Knowing well that his skills were still not at the level of an elite jounin. The little Uzumaki walked calmly into the forest of death, sighing somewhat annoyed by everything that was happening in the village. So, he sat in one of the trees to meditate. He now wanted to make a deal with the Kyuubi. He had to reach an agreement with that being if he wanted to become stronger. So, it appeared in his mindscape. He had to talk to that fox. After all, they had a common enemy. Soon he appeared in front of a large cage where the Uzumaki could see a huge nine-tailed fox. The Kyuubi, known as the strongest Bijuu, looked at the child in front of him with curiosity and a hint of resentment. After all, he, known as the strongest Bijuu, was sealed in the blonde-haired brat. He internally cursed the Yondaime Hokage and Uzumaki Kushina. After all, those two troublesome humans are the child's parents and the ones who sealed him in Uzumaki Naruto. You are so great, Kyuubi, although I feel that your power is not the same as the time you attacked Konoha, said Naruto indifferently. Seeing that the Kyuubi's power had decreased considerably, his father did a good job dividing the Kyuubi's power. The Kyuubi, upon hearing that his power had now become weaker, became enraged. After all, the damn Yondaime divided his power with the help of the Shinigami, and now this brat throws his misfortune in his face. Damn brat, don't believe that because I'm sealed I can't kill you. How dare you say that my power has diminished, said the Kyuubi with rage in his voice and a great amount of murderous intent coming out of it. You have to calm down, Kyuubi, we are not enemies, you need me, I need you, so stop being so hostile, said Naruto calmly, not being affected by the Kyuubi's killing intent. After all, he had already felt the hostility of the strongest Bijuu when he was born and attacked Konoha. Besides, they were in his mental landscape. In this place he has the advantage, after all it is his mind. You are not afraid of me, Uzumaki? Naruto asked the Kyuubi, still with the intention of killing, but looked at the Uzumaki with curiosity, since it is the first time that a child sees him without fear. Not even the tomato, who was arrogant in his youth, dared to speak to him as Uzumaki Naruto. In addition, the child said that he needed him, although he did not want to admit it at present. He needs the brat. I know you can't do anything to me, Kyuubi. The seal you are enclosed in prevents you from doing so. Furthermore, your power and all your essence was split in two, thanks to the Yondaime, my father, said Naruto calmly, looking into the eyes of the Kyuubi without a hint of fear, even though he is still weak compared to the strongest Bijuu. The Kyuubi frowned at the Uzumaki's indifference, and when he reminded him how the Yondaime defeated him, he didn't understand what was going through that brat's head, and he didn't pay much attention to what the boy was doing. He only saw small details. Among those details, the mistreatment and indifference that the boy suffered, as well as the subtle manipulations that the Sandaime did. What do you want, brat? The Kyuubi asked curiously, and removing his killing intent, he wanted to know how such a small child could be calm in the face of his killing intent. Simple, I want an alliance with you, Kyuubi. With my current power I could not defeat Konoha, although I know I can escape from this place. I know they will chase me and could send ninjas like Kakashi Hatake or Uchiha Shisui, and I know that I will not be able to destroy them, so I want you to train me. I know well that a Jinchuriki is the face of his Bijuu, and the stronger I am the better it will be for you. Also, we will not stay for long in Konoha, only until I reach cage level, said Naruto seriously. Cheeky brat, said Kurama, although internally he was thinking about the boy's proposal, and to tell the truth he can stand being sealed, but he hates Konoha and does not want to be in this place founded by the fool Hashirama and the crazy Madara, and training the boy would be interesting. After all, he has the knowledge of Mito and some of Kushina. So you agree with my proposal? Also, I promise that I will release Kyuubi. So you say you agree? Naruto asked with a small smile. He needed the power of the Kyuubi to be stronger. Also, he understood a little about the Kyuubi. After all, he was sealed for decades. Obviously he wanted to be free. Maybe he has a little resentment against the Kyuubi for killing his parents. But the Uzumaki was thinking of ways to revive them. He knew that there were an infinite number of jutsus, and he could discover a way to do it. The Kyuubi, when he heard that he was going to release him, opened his eyes a little in surprise. The strongest Bijuu feels that the Uzumaki was not lying, but he was a little unsure. After all, being sealed for so long and used as a weapon has made him distrust and hate humanity. You have a deal, kid. I'm going to do everything possible for you to surpass the power of Madara and Hashirama, and I hope you keep the agreement to free me. The Kyuubi agreed seriously. He didn't trust the Uzumaki. The boy in front of him may be a child, but he felt cautious. After all, this child is very calculating, and he can see hatred in his eyes, and he assumed it was hatred for the Leaf Village, or at least hatred for the Sandaime Hokage. I know you don't trust my Kyuubi, and I understand. I will earn your trust over time, but first I must strengthen myself so that we can both be free, Naruto said seriously. He would keep his promises to the Kyuubi. Maybe for the moment they don't have a friendship relationship, just a business one, but in the future he knew that the Bijuu would be his comrade in arms. My name is Kurama no Kyubi, since the time of the Sage of the Six Paths, you are the only human who knows my name, said Kurama with a sigh. Maybe the Uzumaki still doesn't gain his trust, but he knew the boy wasn't lying, so he better introduce himself properly. I understand Kurama, thank you for telling me your name, it's time to go. I don't want to attract the attention of the Sandaime and others. I know they are watching me, Naruto said calmly, knowing that the Anbu and the Sandaime were watching him, he felt their chakras. Kurama nodded watching the Uzumaki disappear. The Kyubi was very interested in the changes that the Uzumaki would make, it was clear that he was not a normal child. You are different from those foolish humans, your enemies don't know who is stalking them, laughed the Kyubi, seeing how a 4-year-old boy was even more dangerous than many of those elite ninjas. Naruto leaving his mental landscape left the forest of death and headed towards his house, which was recently given to him by the Sandaime, since he was voted out of the orphanage. The Uzumaki sighed knowing well that these pathetic villagers will be looking at him badly or even try to attack him. When Naruto was walking he felt 3 Quasi-Jounin level chakras following him. The Uzumaki knew that those 3 were the little Anbu that the Hokage assigned him to supposedly protect him. The Uzumaki ignored them and went to his apartment. He needed to think about releasing the Kyubi seal, maybe that way he could use all his power more easily. A week later Naruto was leaving his apartment heading to the park. He wanted to meet the children. He hoped that at least they wouldn't hate him until he heard some words that he didn't like. The fox demon is here. Run. A child shouted in panic, running away from the one he considered a demon. The children playing in the park ran away as if they saw terrifying monsters. They did not want to be near the Uzumaki since their parents told them that he is a terrifying demon. One of those children slipped and fell to the ground, and just as he was standing up, he turned around and saw Naruto gradually approaching, with a scared expression on his face, his hands kept scratching the ground, and he was crawling backwards in a panic. Help, the demon fox wants to hurt me, a panicked boy cried. His parents told him that the blonde boy is a demon fox. Naruto, who was passing by, just gave him a look, and the boy burst into tears. The Uzumaki looked at him with his eyes rolled, but internally he already understood the attitude of the entire village, and now he knows that not even the children will be able to accept him in their eyes. They are ignorant people who could die if he released the Kyubi. Seeing this, several fleeing children became very loyal, with some emotion on their frightened faces. They picked up stones from the ground and threw them at Naruto one after another. Kill him, kill this fox demon. One of the children shouted in panic. His father warned him that this child is a fox demon. The Uzumaki just looked at them with cold eyes and released a small killing intent that made the children stop in their tracks. Naruto just looked at them and was leaving, but just as he left, a slightly older child tried to attack him with a punch. Naruto turned around and grabbed the slightly older boy's fist and squeezed it so hard that the boy screamed loudly as he felt his fist bones breaking. Run, the demon fox is attacking, a girl screamed in panic. Run away quickly, the demon fox will kill us, another child shouted with fear in his voice. The fox demon is eating people. Another child shouted in panic and fear of the demon his parents hated. The rest of the children were shocked again and ran home as fast as they could. They didn't want the demon to kill them. Ignorant brat, if you think I'm a fox demon, then you're very stupid to dare to provoke me. How do you want to die? Naruto said indifferently. He may be 3 years old, but he was already fed up with all the offenses. He had already hit some adults. As long as they try to harm him, he will return the harm just like that, and now this brat tries to do the same thing as the adults. What a joke. If it weren't for the fact that they were watching him, he would kill him. Naruto squeezed the boy's fist harder and then threw it with such force that the boy flew almost 15 meters away from Naruto. An Anbu ninja wearing a black tight jacket, gray suspenders armor and a dog mask on his face suddenly appeared and caught the fat little man who was about to fall to the ground. Indifferent eyes looked at Uzumaki Naruto through the mask. Naruto saw the Anbu equally indifferent. He felt no guilt after all. Why didn't the Anbu come out and stop him when he was being bullied just now? In his eyes those Anbu didn't protect him, only protect the people, and anger arose in Naruto towards the Anbu, but he didn't show it. He wouldn't alert the Sandaime any further. Ignoring Anbu's indifferent gaze. With his head resting on the back of his neck, Naruto walked towards the small park on the side of the road with a gait of denial. Sitting on the swing under the tree, with his hands on the hanging rope, he seemed a little lonely, and the occasional leaves falling from the tree made the atmosphere feel sad. It seems that even my father's disciple doesn't pay attention to me. Maybe I'll only have Kurama's support, Naruto sighed somewhat sadly. Nearby, the white-haired Anbu frowned under his ferocious dog mask and immediately noticed the sound of footsteps in the distance. He sighed secretly, put the teenager on the ground and disappeared into place. That's it, the demon fox is eating people. After a while, one of the escaped children came running with several adult villagers. The villagers stared at Naruto from afar, disgust and hatred evident in their eyes. Naruto returned their indifferent gaze, but within those indifferent eyes lay a murderous intent. Seeing Naruto's gaze, several villagers recalled the night several years ago, and suddenly a trace of fear emerged in the depths of their eyes. He immediately turned around and scolded the anxious children surrounding him. "I told you, run immediately when you see the fox demon. Don't provoke him. Why don't you listen?" As he spoke, he hit the heads of several children. The adults are afraid of the demon fox. How could these brats be so bold as to provoke him? "This kind of monster should be expelled from the village," said a villager with poison in his voice. "I really don't know why Hokage-sama would leave such a monster in the village," another villager said with hatred in his voice. "Children born in recent years don't know the horror of the fox demons, and only these brats dare to mock them, but the villagers who have experienced the Night of Nine Tails know all about it. The boy may look innocent, but he is a fox demon, and the villagers fear and hate him." They still remember what happened 3 years ago. Most of Konoha was destroyed, and thousands of villagers and ninjas died. The villagers don't want it to happen again, so most of them don't try to kill him, they just look at him with hatred and sometimes speak ill of the Uzumaki. Several villagers know that even though the demon fox has the body of a child, it can still beat up even an adult with ease and is not intimidated. Whether it's a woman or a man, everyone will be beaten if they try to intimidate you. Muscle and bone injuries aren't a problem, but pain in the flesh is definitely a must. There's no point in complaining to the third Hokage because they were the ones who did it first, and they didn't understand how the Hokage let the demon fox roam around Konoha. They should kill him, but they had no say. Looking at the villagers who had left and listening to the vaguely malicious words, Naruto looked up at the sky and sighed. Now he is 100% sure that these people will not accept him, and even if they do, he will not forget everything they did to him or how they treated him worse than a plague, so he needed to speed up his plans. It's time to talk to Kurama again, maybe it would be good to free him, the Uzumaki thought, walking towards the forest of death so that no one would bother him. He didn't want the ninjas or villagers to bother him, and he knew that he would be more comfortable in the forest, although he knew that the Anbu would follow him, but it didn't matter. After a few minutes Naruto arrived at the forest of death and entered his mental landscape. He needed to talk to Kurama again. "Kurama, are you awake?" asked Naruto, seeing the lazy Kyuubi. Sometimes he didn't seem so reckless. "What's wrong, brat?" Kurama asked, looking at Naruto with curiosity since he saw what happened recently and knew that Naruto was upset. In these few days that he knew the boy, he noticed that he is not just any child, but that he is very intelligent and calculating. In addition, the boy has not treated him as a weapon, but as an ally, which has made him gain a little respect. "Simple, I want to free you. I hope you don't escape from me, because if you do, you know that, although there are no beings like Madara, Hashirama or my father Minato Namikaze, there is still the third Hokage who, although not as strong compared to my father, his knowledge of jutsus is enormous and most likely knew the seal of the Reaper and seals you, and most likely they will make that Jinchuriki 100% loyal to Konoha. There are also the other villages, and although your power is enormous, it would be too problematic for you to have everyone chasing you," said Naruto staring at the Kyuubi. Kurama saw Naruto and sighed. The boy is right. If he escapes from Naruto, he has to face the persecution of ninjas from all over the world, so he might as well stay in Naruto's body, it would be more comfortable and less troublesome. Seeing Kurama not responding, Naruto sighed and approached Kurama's cage. He knew that the Kyuubi would not escape, since now it is not safe for him, so there were not many inconveniences. Nine Tails opened his eyes as he saw Naruto approaching the seal, and there was a hint of doubt in the back of his eyes. He didn't think Naruto was serious. Kurama saw Naruto bend his knees and take a run, and immediately saw him jump with force. The Nine Tails suddenly shrank his pupils with a hint of surprise and disbelief. He didn't believe Naruto would do it. The sound of some kind of paper tearing was heard, and Naruto, who was holding the seal, fell to his feet. The Kyuubi saw the scene in astonishment. He didn't think about escaping. He was getting along well with Naruto, and for the moment being with the Uzumaki meant having his peace of mind without the pathetic humans bothering him. When the seal was torn off, both Naruto and Kurama saw yellow light that formed a figure that they both recognized. One saw it with unprecedented hatred and the other with a hint of resentment and affection. "The person I appreciate is a young blonde man of approximately 20 years old. This young man is the Yondaime Hokage Namikaze Minato." Kurama, seeing his enemy, roared with anger and with great murderous intent. This was the human who sealed him and took away half of his power. This blonde is one of the humans he hates the most. Minato, seeing the Kyuubi out of its cage, was a little surprised. He didn't think it was free, he just thought the seal was about to break. He saw Naruto out of the corner of his eye and went to protect his son and take him to another part of the mental landscape, but the Uzumaki dodged the Yondaime and went to the Kyuubi's side, jumping on top of the enormous fox. "Naruto, what are you doing? Come out, get off the Kyuubi, it's dangerous." Minato shouted in panic. He only wanted to protect his son, but apparently the boy, who from what he saw was only 3 years old, turned out to be crazier than his wife. Naruto saw his father. The feelings he has for the man are both positive and negative. He hated him a little for sealing Kurama, but he loves him for giving him life and being a respected ninja. But the Uzumaki would not make things easy for his father, so he sat calmly on the Kyuubi, ignoring the enormous killing intent released by his Biju. "Do you want to be you?" Naruto asked indifferently. He would pretend not to understand. He wanted to know what his father would do when he found out everything that was happening in Konoha and everything that the Sandaime and the village had done to him. The Uzumaki only hoped that he would take his side, and if he didn't, unfortunately he would have no choice but to eliminate him. End of chapter. Chapter 3. Namikaze Mine. Fear, discomfort and guilt is what Namikaze Minato felt seeing the indifferent look that his son, who seemed to be 3 or 4 years old, sent him. He hoped that the village had treated him well. After all, in his eyes, Naruto is the hero of Konoha for retaining the Kyuubi. "Naruto, I am your father, my name is Namikaze Minato, the 4th Hokage of Konoha," said Minato with a smile, but looking sideways at the Kyuubi in case he made any move. He did not trust the 9 tails, but he was relieved that the 9 tails, from what he saw, got along well with his little son. That was something unexpected, but at the same time a blessing. Naruto looked at his father with curiosity. He wanted to know what the 4th Hokage would tell him. Naruto knew about the Kyuubi's attack and part of what happened, but not long after all he was just a baby who was sealed by the Kyuubi. "The night you were born, a masked man captured your mother, taking advantage of the fact that she was weak from childbirth and that the seal was in a weakened state, and released the 9 tails. He controlled the 9 tails and caused serious damage to the village," Minato said, remembering the Uchiha who in his eyes could be Uchiha Madara. Naruto and Kurama frowned as they remembered the masked bastard. They both hated that man Naruto because the bastard almost killed him as a baby, and because of him his parents died, and Kurama hates him because he controlled him. They both knew that he was definitely not Uchiha Madara. They had both talked about it, and it is impossible that he is after all. From what they knew, Uchiha Madara is someone proud who would not hide in a mask like the coward who attacked Konoha 3 years ago. "To keep the 9 tails in Konoha and the balance of all the countries, I have no choice but to seal the 9 tails in your newborn, which was you." The 9 tails was divided into 2 parts. The first half was sealed in you, and the other half was sealed in me. In addition, I sealed my chakra and your mother's in you to be a support in case the 9 tails tried to break free and control you, Minato said, sighing. "Bastard Yondaime, how dare you say that you wanted balance? You humans only use us as weapons, both the Biju and the Jinchuriki. In my eyes, almost all humans are scum," said Kurama, roaring and with a great amount of killing intent directed towards the Yondaime. The killing intent was so strong that it could even be felt throughout Konoha. Meanwhile, outside of Naruto's mindscape, Konoha Anbu, known as Kakashi Kadak, along with 2 more Anbu who were in charge of monitoring Naruto, watched in horror as the Kyuubi's chakra surrounded the little Uzumaki. All the Anbu felt the great killing intent and malice that the boy was spewing and became tense. "My God, the seal is breaking," an Anbu screamed in horror, seeing the terror of 3 years ago return. "Inform the 3rd Hokage what is happening. I will restrain the Jinchuriki if he gets out of control," ordered Kakashi with beads of sweat coming out of him, knowing well that the power of a Jinchuriki is terrible. The 2 Anbu who were under Kakashi quickly went to the Hokage tower. They couldn't stay still, especially with the possible release of the Kyuubi. Both didn't want what happened 3 years ago to happen again. "This will be very problematic if the child draws more power from the Kyuubi. For the moment I can only be attentive. From what I see, the boy fell asleep, but the intention to kill and that terrifying chakra will not be forgotten. I hope it is only a chakra leak and not a complete release," Kakashi thought with a little panic, since just a little bit of chakra from the Kyuubi made him feel small. He did not want to think about if he had the Kyuubi in front of him. In the Uzumaki's mindscape, the Kyuubi was continuing to release its killing intent, and its terrifying chakra even came out of Naruto. The Kyuubi didn't like the Yondaime's words, and now he wanted to crush that blonde. Minato, upon hearing the Kyuubi's words and seeing the power of the powerful fox increase, frowned when he appeared to have offended the Kyuubi. "The balance that the 1st Hokage Senju Hashirama created is nonsense. Yondaime, you sealed the Kyuubi because Konoha needed a Jinchuriki. After all, this village needs a weapon. I am right," Yondaime said Naruto indifferently. He wanted to know the thoughts of the 4th Hokage. If his father gave him an answer that he did not like, he would throw away his plan to revive him and go to conquer the elemental nations on his own. "I did it mainly so that you have the power to protect yourself from the masked man. Although I wanted to save the village, I also thought of you, that with the power of the Kyuubi, you would have enough cards to fight that man who calls himself Uchiha Madara," said Minato, a little sad when he noticed his son's indifference. He didn't understand why he treated him that way. I see, I understand why you sealed Kurama in me, but I didn't like the choice you made after all, thanks to what you did. All of Konoha treats me like the demon fox, said Naruto with a hint of poison in his voice, as he remembered the ignorant people of the Leaf Village and a little sadness, as he feels a little alone in that small apartment. How can that be? Minato said incredulously. His son was supposed to be treated like a hero. How is it possible that they tell him he's a demon fox? What kind of life did he have? He said. You see Yondaime, you made a mistake by believing in that scum you call Konoha, and now your son paid for your mistakes, Kurama said mockingly, but a bit of fury was noticeable in his eyes. After all, he had become a little fond of Naruto, and he didn't like what was happening to him in Konoha. If it were up to him, he would have burned the village down a long time ago. Minato saw the Kyuubi and his eyes shone with anger, not because of the fox's mockery, but because the Sandaime did not protect his son properly. Then he looked at his son in detail, and his clothing made him frown even more. After all, his son, his heir and Kushina's had half-torn pajamas, and it was noticeable that they were very used. Minato growled with anger as he assumed how his son lives. Naruto, I want to know how you live in Konoha. Minato asked. He only hoped it wasn't what he supposed. He hoped that at least his son would live properly. After all, he and Kushina left him a large inheritance. I live in a small apartment. The third Hokage gives me a monthly allowance so I can support myself, but it's barely enough, since everyone in Konoha either doesn't want to sell me any product, they sell it to me too late, or they sell it to me too expensive, Naruto said sadly, although internally he cursed the third Hokage. After all, he knew that his parents had great wealth. Kurama saw Namikaze Minato. He knows a little about the Yondaime's personality. After all, he was with Uzumaki Kushina, and from what he saw, this brat is loving and protective with his loved ones, and a ruthless and cruel being with his enemies, a very dangerous man, and although not as strong as Madara and Hashirama, the Namikaze would definitely be at Tobirama's level. The Kyuubi wondered what the Namikaze would do if he could get out of Naruto's seal. I see, he sighed with sadness and hatred towards Konoha and towards the people he entrusted Naruto to. If something happened to him, he cursed the third Hokage, he cursed Jiraiya and Kakashi. They were supposed to protect his son, but they treat him like a dog. He and Kushina had a large sum of money, so Naruto could live comfortably. If he could get out, he would finish off all those who bullied his son. Fourth Hokage, you must know a lot of ninjutsus, am I correct? Asked Naruto. He saw his parents' house and found quite a few jutsu. Some he learned, and others will take more time, but the Yondaime as Hokage a couple of years ago must know the entire sealing book or at least a large number of those jutsus, so it would be wonderful if the Yondaime could teach him so he could increase his combat power more easily. Naruto wants to learn ninjutsu. At the age of 3, I don't think it would be possible for me to have learned ninjutsu, but with the physique of the Uzumaki clan, I think it would be possible to teach him, and that he can extract chakra in small amounts, but I am only a sealed chakra, maximum will last a couple of hours sealed in Naruto. The Yondaime was also somewhat sad that his son refers to him as Yondaime and not his father. Minato sighed. He wanted to spend more time with his son, but it seems that it will not be possible. My current body can't last long, I'm afraid I can't teach you anything, at most I could talk to you for a few moments, Minato replied sadly. Naruto frowned at his father's words for a few seconds until a solution occurred to him. Kurama can help me keep the Yondaime in my mindscape so he can teach me ninjutsu and I can become stronger, said Naruto. The Uzumaki knew that the Nine Tails could keep his father in his mindscape, he just hopes he is willing, and that the Yondaime does not deny the help. After all, he wanted to learn everything from his father. Kurama narrowed his eyes. The powerful Kyuubi give his chakra to the Hokage who sealed it and divided his power 3 years ago, but he meditated for a few seconds reluctantly, has to accept Naruto's request. After all, having the Yondaime as an ally in the long run would be beneficial for him and Naruto, but suddenly the Kyuubi felt several high-level chakras approaching, cursed internally since the Sandaime and several elite Jounin are approaching. The Kyuubi has realized the hypocrisy of the Sandaime in the conversations he had with Naruto, and with what he could see he knew that the Sandaime wanted to manipulate the boy. If the boy were not so intelligent, he would most likely be manipulated by that monkey. I will agree to give the chakra to the Yondaime so that he can stay in the mental landscape, so you know Yondaime, if it weren't for my mercy and the friendship I have with Naruto, I would never support you, said Kurama. Minato frowned at the Kyuubi's words, but internally he sighed. Since he could stay with his son and support him, he did not want him to be harmed, and he also wanted to know in detail everything his son experienced, so he would talk to the Kyuubi later. Thank you, Kyuubi, said Minato, sincerely grateful. At least thanks to the Kyuubi's chakra he could stay with his son for a long time. Don't thank me, I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for Naruto, and because it benefits him. Yondaime, I know your power, and although not as strong as Hashirama and Madara, you definitely have a power level comparable to that full Tobirama, and if you had developed more, your combat power would far surpass him, said Kyuubi, knowing well the combat power of Tobirama and Minato, and in his eyes, both are comparable. Minato was a little surprised by the comparison and shook his head, still not believing he could reach the level of the second Hokage. Yondaime, I feel several chakras approaching my body, so please write down all the jutsus you know, I will learn them later, now it is time to say goodbye, I do not want the Sandaime to suspect me, said Naruto seriously. Minato frowned, from what he saw his son might seek revenge against Konoha or at least against the high command, and that would be a dangerous path, but he wouldn't stop him after all, he would be in favor of his son, and he knew that Kushina would do the same. I will guide you in practice, I will make you even surpass my combat power when I was alive, Minato said with a smile. He wanted to repair the relationship with his son, and training him is the best option, but he was also a little sad after all his son still had not seen his mother, and he knew that if Kushina found out everything Naruto went through she would want revenge. Naruto finishes speaking, I feel the chakra of the third Hokage and several elite ninjas, said Kurama, somewhat tense. The third Hokage may not be a big deal in his eyes, but for Naruto he will be a danger. Naruto sighed, he knew the ninjas would arrive soon, he should have put up a barrier to prevent them from feeling Kurama's chakra. The third will check your seal, it will be better than covering it up, said Minato moving his hands, enclosing the Kyuubi again, although the Bijuu could come out, at least this seal could make the Sandaime not suspect that Naruto released the Kyuubi. Kurama narrowed his eyes, but said nothing. He knew that the Yondaime was only placing that seal, so that the Sandaime wouldn't suspect that he was free, so he lay down ready to sleep, not wanting to talk to Minato. I'll go, we'll talk again, Yondaime, I want you to teach me jutsus and tell me about Uzumaki Kushina, we'll see each other again soon, said Naruto with a small smile. We will meet again son, said Minato with a smile. He already realized that the Sandaime and the elite ninjas are close to Naruto. Happily closed the Kyuubi's frown again so they do not suspect, although it is a false seal, only a person of Kushina's level or the one of her level could detect that false seal, not even Jiraiya could detect the falsehood. Outside of Naruto's mental space, the Sandaime Hokage along with a large number of Anbus were surrounding Naruto. Everyone was tense after all, they remembered well what the Kyuubi caused 3 years ago, and they didn't want to go through the same thing. Lord Sandaime, said Kakashi respectfully, but you could see small beads of sweat after all. Seeing the Kyuubi's chakra makes him nervous. What happened to the Jinchuriki? The Sandaime asked, watching the Kyuubi's chakra surround Naruto's small body. Recently the Kyuubi's chakra is leaking, although it is not that much, it is an amount that worries me, and I am worried that the Kyuubi will come out again, Kakashi sighed a little worried. I see, everyone surround the Jinchuriki, I will seal his power, said the Sandaime seriously, feeling the terrible chakra of the strongest Bijuu, making him tense. But suddenly the chakra that was around Naruto slowly disappeared, causing the Anbu to be surprised and the Sandaime to narrow his eyes with caution and curiosity. Little Naruto was waking up and looked around him, seeing several elite ninjas along with the Sandaime surrounding him. Why are there so many people surrounding me? Naruto asked with supposed curiosity, since he knew there were Anbu after all, he detected them, but he didn't want the Sandaime to know that he had discovered them. It would be better to look like a fool. Naruto-kun, nothing bad is happening, we just thought you were hurt, that's why I came with my guards, the Sandaime responded quickly. He couldn't tell him the truth. Naruto narrowed his eyes, but nodded in understanding. He still knew what happened, so he would play dumb. He needed to get stronger first. The Anbu surrounding the Uzumaki were cautious, lest the child release the Kyuubi's chakra again. Little Naruto, can you lift up your jacket? I want to check something, the Sandaime ordered kindly. He didn't want the boy to be afraid of him and be able to use the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto frowned, but nodded and lifted his jacket, a little uncomfortable with the stares of the Anbu and the Hokage. After the Sandaime gave it a careful inspection, it was discovered that the seal was in perfect condition and Sarutobi here is inside. Since the Kyuubi had not been released, he assumed that Naruto's negative emotions caused him to release some of the Nine Tails chakra. Now he should be more attentive to what happens to Naruto in case he releases the Kyuubi, and that would be worrying. Third generation grandfather, can I go now? I want to go to my apartment. I feel a little tired, Naruto asked, not wanting to be in front of so many Anbu. They made him uncomfortable and above all, he didn't want to be in front of the Sandaime. You can go, little Naruto, and be careful, I don't want anything to happen to you, said the Sandaime with a smile. Internally he was sighing after all the Kyuubi had not been released, but now he had to be cautious, because if that beast is released, Konoha could be reduced to ashes. Naruto nodded happily and sighed, since thanks to his father who put the fake seal, it seems that they did not discover him, and that was beneficial, he could strengthen himself without the Sandaime noticing. Hiruzen watched Naruto walk away and signaled to Kakashi and several Anbu to follow the Uzumaki. He didn't want them to leave him unsupervised. He was a little afraid that he would release the Nine Tails. Kakashi and the rest of the Anbu obeyed the Sandaime's order and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. As Naruto walked he realized he was being followed and shook his head. He already suspected that the ninjas would follow him after all, they were afraid that he would free Kurama. Meanwhile in Naruto's mindscape the Nine Tails known as Kurama and the former yandere known as Minato Namikaze were watching everything that happened with Naruto and both sighed in relief as it seemed the Sandaime didn't suspect anything and both could make a special training plan. "You were very clever Minato, it seems the Sandaime didn't notice the fake seal," said Kurama looking at the yandere with a hint of respect after all, besides, there are few seal masters among the Uzumakis. "Thank you Kurama, now we have to develop a training plan for Naruto and teach him all our knowledge. My son has too many enemies in this village and from what I saw neither Jiraiya nor Kakashi will support or take care of my son," Minato said seriously, but when mentioning his sensei and his student he did so coldly. "That pathetic pervert and that masked fool are trash yandere," said Kurama coldly, although he was a little annoyed that Minato called him by his name, he let it go, now they are allies and the best thing is to see how to improve Naruto's strength and prevent anything from happening to him in this pathetic village. "Unfortunately you are right," sighed Minato, sadly the yandere felt betrayed by his friends, from what he has seen in some of Naruto's memories, practically no one supported his son and that has made him feel enormous anger. "Yandere, since you left chakra in Naruto I assume there is also Uzumaki Kushina's chakra, am I correct?" Kurama asked with curiosity and caution, that woman, although he hated her a little, also respected him, not just any shinobi can contain it after giving birth. Minato looked at the Kyuubi in surprise. He didn't think he would bring up the subject of Kushina, but he nodded at the Great Fox's question, knowing full well that it wouldn't be good to hide something so important from him. "Why don't you make Uzumaki Kushina appear, wouldn't it be better for Naruto if that tomato came? I may not like him, but for Naruto's sake it would be beneficial if Uzumaki Kushina appeared," said Kurama, looking intrigued at the yandere. "I'll talk to Naruto about Kushina later. I don't want Kushina to be sad seeing everything that happened to Naruto," Minato sighed. "I see, although you don't want the tomato to suffer, it would be better for her to appear, since she is a cage-level powerhouse with great knowledge that could help Naruto, so make the decision as soon as possible," said Kurama, knowing that this woman is very powerful, he knew that in the war even Kushina stood up to the Jinchuriki of the Hachibi. "I know, but I don't want her to suffer, because if Kushina finds out what Naruto is going through she will suffer, since we can't help him physically at most we can only give him our knowledge and train him to be stronger than us," Minato said sighing somewhat frustrated he would like to revive to teach a lesson to all those who hurt his son, especially the Sandaime. Kurama frowned at the sentimental fool, but said nothing. The topic of Uzumaki Kushina will soon be taken up when Naruto appears. After all, that woman has to appear with her, a cage-level powerhouse training Naruto will soon increase his combat power. End of chapter. Chapter 4. Trying to strive. It's been a day since the Kyuubi Naruto Uzumaki chakra incident. With the release of some of the Kyuubi chakra the Sandaime Hokage Hiruzen placed a greater number of Anbu to watch him. The Hokage who claims to be the strongest did not want a new Kyuubi attack, similar to the one 3 years ago to happen again. After all Konoha is no longer the same as it was before the Kyuubi attack, the leaf no longer has Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze. In addition, currently Sarutobi Hiruzen did not trust the Uchiha clan to help him neutralize some Kyuubi rampage. He is afraid that those Uchihas want to control the Bijuu and rebel against the village wise as are the Uchihas by their teacher Tobirama Senju. There were also the problems that are happening in the village and the Uchiha clan, so he was also monitoring that evil clan that in the eyes of Hiruzen would soon be exterminated. Mindscape of Naruto Uzumaki. "Then you will talk to Naruto about releasing the tomato chakra?" asked the Kyuubi with curiosity. He has a bit of a grudge against Kushina, but he also respects her power. After all, not just anyone could stop him in his attack of madness. In his eyes, that tomato is respected, even more than the Yondaime Hokage. "Don't remind me anymore Kyuubi, I know I have to talk to little Naruto about Kushina, but at the same time I don't want Kushina to suffer with what Naruto was going through, I know she would cry seeing what is happening to us in this rotten town," Minato replied with a sad smile, seeing everything that his stupidity of sealing the Kyuubi in Naruto caused. "What does Kurama mean by saying that my mother's chakra is sealed in me?" asked Naruto suddenly appearing looking seriously at his father and Kurama, he didn't like being lied to. Kyuubi was a little surprised, he didn't realize at what moment his Jinchuriki entered his mental landscape and Minato became tense and sighed, now he has to talk to his son, although he didn't want to do it yet, but he doesn't want to lie to his son anymore, not after everything he's going through. "I'm waiting for an answer Yondaime," said little Naruto calmly, but in reality he was very impatient to get an answer. He didn't like people hiding anything from him, especially the Yondaime his father. "Yondaime speaks quickly, you may not notice it, but I do and the boy is now very angry," whispered the Kyuubi. The Yondaime may not notice it, but he did notice Naruto's annoyance. The Bijuu knows that what Naruto hates most is being lied to, and now that the Yondaime wants to win the boy's affection, the worst thing he can do is lie to him. Minato took a deep breath, he didn't like hiding anything from his son, but he didn't want Kushina to see his son suffer. I'll tell you son, I don't want to hide anything from you, just as I sealed part of my chakra in you, your mother's chakra is also in you, although it is not activated, so you cannot communicate with her, Minato replied to his son's question. Why didn't you want to tell me that my mother's chakra is sealed in me because you wanted to hide it? Naruto asked with narrowed eyes. He had a guess, but he wanted to hear it from his father's mouth, in case his guess was wrong. I love you son, but I also love my wife Kushina, and although I know that she would like to be in this place and support you, I do not want to see her suffer with what is happening to you, for that reason, I was hesitating to tell you that Kushina's chakra is sealed in you, Minato replied, he hoped that his son would understand why he still had not told him about his mother. Naruto took a deep breath, he was a little upset by what his father was hiding from him, but he understands why his father did it, he loves his mother, and doesn't want to see her suffer for everything the village was doing to her for being the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. I understand why you're hiding it from me, but I don't want this to happen again. I don't want you to lie to me. Yondames still want to know you better and see you as a father, but for that I hope you don't try to hide something so important from me, Naruto said, sighing, but there was a bit of sadness in his eyes. I promise I'll make it up to you for lying to you Naruto, now I guess you want to see your mother I'm right, said Minato with a smile, although he hoped Kushina wouldn't go crazy with what was happening. Then you will activate the seal where this mother is, am I correct? Asked Naruto, looking seriously at his father. He wanted to meet his mother, he is still young, and his desire is to have a family, and he wanted to have it at least in his mental space. I'm going to do it Naruto so don't worry sighed Minato, and then did a handstand position releasing the safety seal that Uzumaki Kushina had sealed in Naruto. After Minato finished his hand positions, a beautiful woman with blood-red hair appeared. She looked around and got excited when she saw Minato along with a little blonde boy of 3 or 4 years old. When she saw the whiskers on his cheeks, she already knew who the blonde boy was, that he was her little baby. So, she ran towards both of them, completely ignoring the Kyuubi that was free. In her eyes, only Naruto and Minato, his family, existed. Nari-chan Minato-kun I have missed you so much said Kushina hugging her son and husband with tears in her eyes, seeing her family made her cry with happiness. Kushi-chan I missed you too, said Minato with tears in his eyes. Seeing Kushina again made him very sentimental, and he looked at his son out of the corner of his eye, whose eyes were wet, and that made him smile. He knew his son was happy to see his mother. Naruto saw Kushina and a small tear fell. Seeing his mother again makes him very happy. He is not resentful at all towards his mother, after all, she did not seal Kurama in her son and caused the entire village to hate him. After a few moments Kushina separated from Minato and Naruto was very happy to see her husband and son, she just wanted to stay a little longer with her son, she knew that he would soon disappear, after all, she is just chakra sealed in Naruto's body. Uzumaki Kushina said the Kyuubi staring at the crazy Redeed who faced him face to face without fear of death, all to protect Naruto, that woman, although she imprisoned him and is a little crazy, is worthy of respect. Kushina heard the Kyuubi call her and saw the enormous beast with narrowed eyes. She knew how powerful and dangerous the beast was and didn't understand why the Kyuubi was free. The seal was supposed to be powerful enough to contain the beast. If that flea tried to harm her baby, she would pierce it with her chains. Why is the Kyuubi free Minato? Kushina asked seriously, she didn't understand what happened, but for the Kyuubi to be free and Minato to be in front of her, it must be that he released him, and that made her curious what her husband wants to do. Naruto released him, I will pass on my memories of everything to you, I hope you can forgive me, Kushina, said Minato sighing, his son's life is shit and it's all his fault, he only hopes that his wife can forgive him, he would do anything for his family to forgive him, because he knows that Naruto, although cordial with him, still hasn't forgiven him, after all, he has never called him dad, he only calls him Yondaime. Kushina narrowed her eyes but nodded. She wanted to know what happened. Seeing a positive response from his wife, he touched her head and did hand positions. The jutsu he used is similar to that of the Yamanaka clan. This jutsu can provide memories. Seeing and feeling all the information that Minato is giving her, Kushina's face changed since the village treats her baby like garbage. Jiraiya did not take care of his son, that useless toad will pay with his life. And finally, the Sandaime, that garbage, did not keep his promise. Kushina wanted to cut him into little pieces. Kushina had tears in her eyes seeing everything that the trash of the leaf caused to her baby, those fools will pay, she wanted to finish them off for everything they did to her son, but first she has to teach her stupid husband a lesson for the recklessness of sealing the Kyuubi and his son. Forgive me little Naruto, I'm a terrible mother for not taking care of you, said Kushina, throwing herself at her son to hug her tightly. She blamed herself, but above all she blamed Minato for everything that happened to her baby, and if she had the power she would destroy the Leaf Village. Naruto saw his mother shedding tears that made him feel a little sad, but sighing he caressed his mother's beautiful face to calm her down. "You don't have to worry, mother, I have nothing to forgive you for, you did everything you could," said Naruto, sighing and caressing his mother's face. Kushina opened her eyes and sighed in happiness. She was happy that her son was not angry with her, and Minato opened his mouth in surprise, since his son did not blame Kushina, sighing he assumed that Naruto still blamed him for the ceiling. "Thank you, son, for your words. Now I need to talk to your father about your life experience," said Kushina with a small smile, wiping away her tears. Minato watched his wife tensely. He knew his wife was angry, after all, a great killing intent was pouring out of her directed towards him. "Minato, I told you not to seal the Kyuubi in Naruto, but you didn't listen to me, idiot, and because of your stubbornness, look what my baby is suffering," roared Kushina with her hair raised in 9 tails. "Kushina, forgive me, I didn't think this would happen," said Minato, afraid of what his wife is going to do to him. "Before I forgive you I have to teach you a lesson for your stupidity, Minato, the only good thing you did was seal our chakra in Naruto to support us," said Kushina, with her adamantine chains coming out of her ready to attack Minato. "Kushi-chan, I don't want to fight with you," Minato said nervously, seeing that his wife was really going to be serious about teaching him a lesson. "First you will learn not to be stupid," said Kushina, throwing her chains towards Minato. Minato, seeing the diamond chains heading towards the quickly elusive one, was nervous, he didn't want to fight with his wife. Naruto, seeing that the fight between his parents had just begun, disappeared in a whirlwind, appearing on Kurama's head. Kurama didn't pay much attention when he saw Naruto appear, but was very interested to see who would be stronger, Minato with his speed or Kushina with her sealing abilities, although he also knew that their battle wouldn't be as intense. "Do you think we should stop the battle, Kurama?" Naruto asked, seeing that his mother was attacking his father with more intensity and seeing his father dodging, but having some wounds, it surprised him a little. He didn't think his mother was that strong. "We'll see a little more, I want the Yondaime to suffer a little, and I know you want your mother to teach your father a lesson, so sit down and watch the show," Kurama replied, watching the interesting battle. 5 minutes later Naruto was already bored of his mother giving his father a lesson, and seeing that it was his father he sighed, since if he continued like this, it would be very problematic. "I think you should stop fighting," Naruto said seriously, seeing how miserable his father is and how angry his mother is, "it would be best if both of you don't continue." Kushina reluctantly stopped, not wanting to give her baby a bad impression, so sighing, she calmed down. Minato gasped, just sighed in relief, defending himself from his wife's attacks is very troublesome, he wouldn't attack her, he could only defend himself passively. "I think you already taught Minato a lesson, so we should talk about what we are going to do now. It is important to prepare and plan. I do not want to stay in Konoha. Minato already knows, so I want to know your opinion, mother. I wish if you would support me against Konoha, or will you be against me?" Naruto said seriously. Minato and Kushina looked at each other and both sighed, knowing that their son will not stay in Konoha and most likely wants revenge. "Son, I will always be with you. If you want to destroy the Leaf Village I will support you, if you want to destroy or conquer the ninja world I will do it. After all, you are my son," said Kushina seriously. "Thank you, mother, for the support. Kurama, please support my mother with your chakra so that she can stay in my mindscape," Naruto said and ordered seriously. Kurama saw that Naruto was a little annoyed by how the brat was ordering him around, but he had to endure it. After all, having the tomato with him will be beneficial to strengthen the boy. "Okay, I'll support you with my chakra," sighed Kurama, then lay down. He was already bored of everything they were talking about. Kushina opened her eyes slightly, but didn't say anything. She sighed in relief, since she could be with her son, and that made her happy. At least, the furball was able to do something good for her and her baby, although she was somewhat uncomfortable and sad that her son didn't call Minato father, but she assumed that in time Naruto would call Minato father. "I will teach you everything I know, son. You will be the best Uzumaki in Kenjutsu and Fuinjutsu," said Kushina happily. She knew that in the Senju residence and in Minato's house, as well as in other places, there were important scrolls that she and Mito hid from everyone. Naruto nodded with a smile, and Minato was happy to see that his wife wanted to help their son. Now they had to prepare him for the difficulties that were coming. "Son, I recommend that you recruit some people with potential and strengthen them, because even if you have Kurama-san with you, it will not be enough to defeat all of Konoha. After all, there is Danzo, Hiruzen, Jiraiya and other high-level shinobi, so you must increase your own power and your military power," suggests Minato, knowing well that even if his son reaches the cage level in a few years, at most he could defeat one of those powers, and even if he obtains the power of the Kyuubi, he could hardly against all the powers of the leaf. Naruto saw his father and had to accept the emergence. After all, there were many dangerous shinobi in the leaf, and it would be problematic to have to deal with them. After all, he is just a child. Now he has to see suitable candidates to help him overthrow Konoha, and then maybe the shinobi world. I suggest you start by recruiting Makoto Uchiha. She was my best friend when she was alive, and her power is strong even more than Fugaku's power. Although she retired when she got pregnant, maybe her power declined, but she formerly in terms of power was close to cage level or maybe reached cage level. I'm not completely sure, said Kushina, knowing well the power of her friend. After all, she is one of the strongest kunoichis, and although Fugaku is also strong, being a ninja close to cage, she was sure that Makoto would defeat him. The Uchihas are trash, you can't trust them, roared Kurama angrily. He didn't trust those red-eyed lunatics. He knew how dangerous those lunatics were, this Uchiha Madara and the masked man who also called himself Madara, which he doubted. In his eyes, the Uchihas are dogs who deserve to die. Ayubi, you know Makoto, after all you were sealed in me, and Uchiha Makoto does not behave with most Uchihas. She is strong, but she is not arrogant like most of her clan, said Kushina, defending her best friend. After all, her friend is strong and a kind person with her own. Ayubi frowned, but said nothing. After all, Makoto's behavior was well known to him. She was kind, but at the same time dangerous. She didn't seem like a very kind Uchiha, but he wouldn't easily trust that woman. Do what you want, but don't blame me if the Uchiha you want to recruit betrays you, grumbled Kurama angrily. He doesn't trust any Uchiha, that clan is evil. Anyone else who thinks he could be recruited, asked Naruto curiously. He knew Jiraiya was out of the question, but he assumed his father and mother knew reliable people who could help him. Maybe Kakashi, although now that I've seen your whole life I'm not sure, so let's wait a bit. If possible you will recruit him, and if he becomes an enemy, then he will die, Minato said coldly. Although he will be sad if Kakashi dies now, his priority is Naruto, the rest of the world can burn. I understand, thanks for the advice, Minato, said Naruto with a smile. He already has goals, and he can also recruit other people. It would be interesting to see Hirazen's face when he sees what caused him to not fulfill his parents' wishes. Maybe Tsunade-sama is a good choice to recruit. After all, she is part Uzumaki and a cage-level ninja. Also, being the best medical ninja would be beneficial. After all, it is always good to have a doctor by your side, suggested Minato, knowing well the power of the Sannin, which was comparable to Jiraiya. I will have to investigate a little more who to recruit. There are several rebel ninjas who are strong, but to be able to recruit them you need a superior power, said Naruto, sighing, knowing well that without power nothing can be done. He needed to learn more about the Fuinjutsu of the Uzumaki clan and all the jutsus known by his parents. Minato and Kushina looked at each other and nodded at Naruto's words, knowing full well that he is right. After all, without power you can't do anything. Maybe you should pay attention to the Jinchurikis. After all, several of them must not be loyal to their villages, and you could take advantage of the stupidity of the villages to recruit them, said Kurama, knowing how the Jinchurikis are treated by the ninja villages. Naruto looked at Kurama with some surprise, but nodded in understanding. After all, he knew that Jinchurikis are treated like trash, and that could encourage those powerful ninjas to become rebels. The flea is right, some Jinchurikis have a horrible life that they desert their villages, so we must take advantage of this to be able to recruit them, said Kushina. End of chapter. Chapter 5. Uchiha Izumi. Currently, Kushina, Minato, Kurama and Naruto were talking about their plans against the Leaf Village and how to deal with Danzo and the third Hokage. Furthermore, the four were looking at who to recruit since they all knew they needed allies, otherwise they might be defeated by Konoha or other villages. You already know who you should recruit, little Naruto. Remember that you need allies, you can't do everything alone, remember that you don't have to be arrogant, said Minato calmly. From what he sees, his son is strong, and that may make him a little arrogant, and that can't happen. Arrogance could make his son fall. Minato is right, son, you may be confident and that's fine, but you don't have to be arrogant, as that could be your downfall, said Kushina calmly. She knew well that if her son became arrogant and thought about doing everything alone, he most likely wouldn't achieve his goals. Lose both of you have nothing to worry about, besides, we have enough time to be able to organize ourselves and for you to be able to train me, Naruto replied calmly. He still has several years to grow and be able to finish off that fool Hiruzen Sarutobi. Kushina and Minato nodded with satisfied faces. They hoped their son wouldn't become arrogant. They already had a training plan to make him stronger, but they both wanted to know from their son what level he thinks he is. Kurama was thinking about Naruto's potential, maybe over time he could surpass the power level of Hashirama and Madara. It's time to go, I need to rest and think about what I should do from now on. I know that Konoha is no longer my home, but I need time to make preparations and leave, Naruto said calmly. He is small, but he knows how hostile Konoha is towards him, as the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. Kushina and Minato saw each other, and then Naruto sighed. Both parents attended, knowing that their son could not stay in the Leaf Village, it would be very dangerous for him, but first he had to get stronger, because if he escapes Konoha could capture him, at least his leaf must reach the cage level comparable to any of the Sannin, so that he can be safe outside the village. Goodbye, mother, father, Kurama, I'll see you later, Naruto said calmly, and then quickly disappeared. He needed to plan his movements in Konoha well. After all, he has Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo Shimura behind his movements. This left Kushina very happy and Minato with tears in his eyes when he heard his son call him father, which made him very happy. I recommend both of you to train and give all your knowledge to Naruto. I feel his potential, and I think that even his potential will most likely surpass Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, said Kurama calmly. I already know, I'm going to teach Naruto everything I know, and I'll even tell him where he can find more knowledge about my clan. After all, Naruto must make the entire ninja world remember the power of the Uzumaki clan, said Kushina with a big smile. She wanted Konoha to page, but if Naruto became as strong as Hashirama and Madara, he could even suppress the villages that attacked Uzu. I already know Kurama. I will also teach Naruto all my ninjutsus and all the ones I know. In addition, I will tell him where he can find a lot of information about different ninjutsus, Minato said calmly, knowing that he has to prepare Naruto to face all the enemies he has outside and inside the village. Well then we will be allies. We must be careful with the fool Uchiha who attacked your village a couple of years ago, said Kurama seriously. He knew that Uchiha was not Madara after all. Uchiha Madara did not need to wear a mask with his raw power. He could suppress a village even if he is old. You mean Uchiha Madara? Minato asked curiously. He was in doubt if that man was Uchiha Madara, although he doubted it. After all, although that ninja was in the cage rank, he was too dependent on his space-time ninjutsu, which is why he was able to defeat him. Kushina frowned upon hearing Madara's name. That masked man who called himself Madara is responsible for her death by controlling the Kyuubi. If it were up to her, she would kill him. The Uchiha who attacked them the night Naruto was born is not Uchiha Madara. I felt his chakra and he is not powerful at all. If I compare him to Madara, the only thing I could compare him to is his hatred. He has a deep resentment and hatred, although I don't know why or towards whom, and although that Uchiha is dangerous, he definitely won't compare to Madara. I think his level may be cage level, comparable to the old monkeys or maybe a little higher, said Kurama calmly. But if he isn't Madara Uchiha, how is it possible that Uchiha can control you? Asked Minato with a frown. He understands the power of the Kyuubi better than anyone, and according to what he knows, only Uchiha Madara would have the power to control Kurama, and only Hashirama could suppress Kurama. Afterwards, there is no other existence that can confront the Kyuubi without special means. The nasty Uchiha had a contract with me that I think Madara gave it to him. Most likely this Uchiha is a follower or student of Madara. This contract, plus Kushina's weakness due to pregnancy, and the power of that Mangekyou Sharingan was able to control me. All these factors could make that pathetic Uchiha be able to control me, said Kurama sighing, knowing that only the Mangekyou Sharingan of that masked man would be impossible to control. At most he could momentarily place him in a Genjutsu. But it would be easy to lead himself, although the Kyuubi knew that this masked man has a powerful pupil power and can most likely control few-tailed Bijus. I see, said Minato, understanding how that masked man was able to control Kurama, but what worried him was that that masked man might be a follower or student of Uchiha Madara, which would be very problematic. We have to prepare to counter that masked man who wants the Uchiha to die, said Kushina furiously and with her hair standing up in 9 tails. If you asked her who she hates the most, it's Sarutobi Hiruzen, first of all for not protecting his son, secondly, there's the masked man and thirdly there's Danzo. He wanted to finish them off if possible. You design a suitable training plan for Naruto. I will make sure that the boy can control my power. Our alliance will be necessary so that Naruto can live and not be a prisoner in this village, Kurama said calmly. Okay, Kushina and Minato said calmly. They were happy that Kurama supported them with Naruto's training and care. Meanwhile with Naruto, when he left his mental space he was thinking if it would be good to recruit Makoto Uchiha. After all, he knew that the Uchiha are problematic. He would have to think about it and analyze some of the Konoha ninjas. He knew that there was a woman who is also discriminated against in the Leaf, and that is Anko Midarachi. Maybe she can be recruited, but first she would have to become stronger, since without strength, she will not be able to do anything. The next day Naruto had already decided that first he would have to become stronger, and then after a year or two, he would start recruiting Konoha ninjas, starting with a new generation of ninjas. Maybe they would be useful, but first he would go to Ichiraku Ramen. Maybe by eating some ramen, he would be able to think better. As Naruto walked, he was being watched by several Anbu who were supervising him. Since the Kyuubi's power was unleashed, Naruto's vigilance increased, tripling the amount of Anbu he had before the attack. The Uzumaki was walking calmly. He knew that now there were more Anbu watching him, which bothered him a little, but he couldn't do anything after all. Even though he could defeat most of them, it wasn't convenient for him to make a scene. It's annoying that the stupid monkey is watching me more and more. I have to become stronger, and if they keep watching me it will be troublesome, Naruto thought a little angrily. Kid, you should be careful because I feel that you are being followed by Anbu from Chunin to Jounin level, but there is an elite Jounin, so be cautious, otherwise it will be problematic, said Kurama. Seriously, Naruto is still small, and although he could handle most of those Anbu, what worried him is that elite Jounin. He felt his chakra, and it may be close to those shadows. Naruto sighed and nodded, heading towards Ichiraku ramen. He is indifferent towards the Anbu, he just wanted to think calmly eating his ramen. Naruto approached Ichiraku ramen and sat down calmly. He has some money, so there's no problem buying 2 bowls of ramen. Old Tucci, give me a bowl of ramen, said Naruto with a smile. He was hungry and knew he was being watched, and the only thing that calmed him was ramen. Tucci looked at Naruto with a smile, obviously knowing who the little blonde-haired boy with a mustache is his son. After all, the boy has a huge resemblance to the late Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage, and in terms of behavior he is very similar to Kushina Uzumaki, the princess of the Whirlpool clan, both being his biggest clients and friends. He was upset because Naruto lived in poor conditions. He may be a civilian now, but he also knew about the shinobi world and realized what the Sandaime Hokage wanted to do. He wants to manipulate Naruto and make him take the blame for the attack of the 9 tails. Little Naruto, it's a pleasure to see you again, don't worry, now I'll give you your delicious ramen, the first dish will be on the house, you have nothing to worry about, said Tucci with a smile. Naruto-kun, it's a joy to see you again, said AM with a smile, but in her eyes there was sadness. She knew what was happening to Naruto, and she felt sorry for what was happening to the little blonde boy. Old Tucci, Miss AM, I'm happy to see you again and thank you for the first ramen, Naruto said with a smile and looked out of the corner of his eye to his side, where there was a girl of barely 7 or 8 years old with brown hair, but he didn't pay much attention to her. Today he was at Ichiraku ramen to relax. The brown-haired girl who was eating her bowl of ramen was Izumi Uchiha, a half-breed member of the Uchiha clan, who, despite now being a member of the Uchiha clan, was still pushed aside by some members of the clan, but that didn't matter to her. She would prove her worth to the head of the Uchiha clan and the rest of the members of the Uchiha clan. The little Uchiha continued eating and thinking about how to get stronger to prove her worth. She was very distracted and didn't pay attention to Naruto. Little Naruto, here is your ramen, enjoy it, said Tucci with a smile. He just hopes that his ramen can help improve Naruto's mood, since he knew what he was going through in the village, and although he didn't like what they did to Naruto, he couldn't do anything. After all, he is a simple civilian. Naruto smiled at his ramen, since it is one of the few things he likes, looking sideways at the girl next to him and seeing the fan in her clothes. He knew that she is from the Uchiha clan, and although she was small he had to be cautious. He knew that if an Uchiha could come into contact with him, it could spark his interest in the fossils. The Uchiha who was finishing her bowl of ramen was somewhat melancholic, since despite being able to integrate into the Uchiha clan and having her Sharigan, she is still rejected by several members of the Uchiha clan for being a half-breed. Izumi Uchiha sighed. She is a girl, but she knew that in the Uchiha clan not everyone appreciated her, some hated her existence, and she saw out of the corner of her eye the little blonde boy who seemed very cute because of his whiskers. She knew who that boy is. After all, the little blonde-haired boy is known as the incarnation of the demon fox, or is called Demon Boy, which she did not like because of what she saw of the boy. He is someone humble, and she knew that the boy is not a demon, he is just a boy. Izumi was staring at Naruto, who had noticed her gaze, putting him on alert. After all, he didn't know what the girl wanted from him, and with the Anbu watching, it would be very problematic if he talked to the girl, although he was curious to see what that Uchiha wanted. Do you have something to tell me, miss? Naruto asked calmly, knowing that the Uchiha girl wanted something from him, but he wasn't sure what the Uchiha girl wanted. Izumi blushed a little when she was discovered by a boy much smaller than her who apparently had to be about 3 years old, although he seemed more mature. It's nothing, I just found your whiskers tender, Izumi Uchiha said without thinking, and it was true. She found the blonde boy's whiskers adorable, maybe she could touch them. Naruto looked at her strangely, but he was also curious because as far as he knows, the Uchiha don't behave like that girl. Maybe she is a strange Uchiha, since from what he knew, the Uchiha normally stopped with their indifferent or cold gaze. You're an Uchiha? Naruto asked, looking at Izumi strangely. Izumi blushed. She knew what the little boy meant. She doesn't have the typical behavior of an Uchiha, although Izumi was curious as to how the boy knew she was an Uchiha if she hadn't introduced herself. How do you know I'm a member of the Uchiha clan? Izumi asked curiously. She doesn't understand how a child can easily find out. It's obvious that I recognized you by the logo on your clothes that represents your clan, said Naruto, looking at Izumi as if she were an idiot. He didn't understand what brain circuit that girl has, although from her aura she seemed like a pure person. It's not that he has any disagreement with the Uchiha clan, only with that masked man who killed his parents. Izumi smiled and blushed a little, since the question she asked must have been silly, and from the look on the blonde boy's face, she knew that he considered her an idiot. Don't be embarrassed, tell me your name, Uchiha girl, Naruto asked curiously. "Don't call me Uchiha girl, my name is Izumi Uchiha, it's a pleasure to meet you Whiskers," said Izumi with a smile looking at Naruto tenderly. She liked children a lot, she wanted to have a little brother, and the boy with whiskers seemed very adorable to her. "Mustaches?" Naruto asked with a dark look. He didn't like that nickname, but he let it go. The girl in front of him was only a little older than him, and he knew she hadn't matured, and judging by her aura, she was someone kind. "If Whiskers, I don't know your name and that nickname suits you perfectly, you are adorable with those whiskers, they make you look like a little fox," Izumi Uchiha replied with a beautiful smile. Naruto had black lines and sighed, somewhat annoyed, but shook his head. "Since you introduced yourself, I'm going to do it too. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. You've probably heard about me from the villagers," Naruto said indifferently. He didn't care about the dog's opinions. "Yes, I heard from you, but I don't listen to the opinions of those stupid villagers who speak ill of a child," Izumi said calmly. She wouldn't speak ill of Naruto. She just met him and so far she thinks he's a very cute little boy. Naruto smiled at Izumi's words. He knew that very few people would give him an answer similar to that of the Uchiha girl. "Thank you for your sincere opinion Izumi Uchiha, you make me happy," said Naruto with a smile. He was a little happy. Maybe he doesn't care about the opinion of the dogs, but he always wanted to have friends, and although he also has a plan for the future, it wouldn't be bad to make friends and grow together. "You don't have to thank me, it's nice to meet such an adorable child, let's be friends," said Izumi Uchiha with a big smile. She knew a little about what Naruto was going through, the hatred of the villagers, what bothered her, she didn't understand how those ordinary people could treat a child like that. Naruto was a little surprised by the Uchiha girl's request, but nodded happily at the Uchiha girl's words. Gucci and AM watched with a smile the interaction of the two children, both knew a little about what happened to Izumi Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki, each being rejected by the people around them or by their own clan. Kushina and Minato watched with a smile the conversation between the Uchiha girl and her daughter. The girl may be a little older and is an Uchiha who are very emotional, but the girl is still small, and from what they saw she is kind to her son. She does not reject him for being a Jinchuriki, but wants to start a conversation with her little one. "I hope that little Uchiha can ease my son's loneliness," said Kushina with tears in her eyes, seeing how her child was able to make a friend. "I hope so too, Kushi-chan," said Minato, seeing how his son was able to meet his first friend. That made him happy. He just hoped the girl wouldn't be mean to his son. Kurama looked at the Uchiha with narrowed eyes at the Uchiha girl. He can sense people's emotions, an ability that Naruto also has, but the ability he possesses is more mature, and from what he feels from the girl, she only sprouts kindness and some concern for Naruto. In his eyes, that Uchiha is strange. He will be attentive. Naruto may be a little demon, but he cannot trust an Uchiha. End of chapter. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.